Hi, I'm Dana. A couple of days ago, I put up a blog on the site, my reaction to an article about timeouts being harmful. I don't believe that they are harmful. In fact, I believe that they're an excellent tool for discipline, and I do think it's important that our children learn and understand that there's consequences to certain behaviors. And today I want to give some tips around timeout do's and don'ts, because I think they can be really effective, but you need to understand what to do and what not to do to make sure that they curb a behavior and also work in a way that's productive and not harmful. So number one tip around timeouts is to have a designated timeout spot that is not the child's bedroom. Okay? A child's bedroom is really their sanctuary. It's where they go for sleep, which is wonderful. It's where they go to do some playing. And I don't want to fracture that relationship they have with their bedroom. So it's definitely not there. Also, it's fun in that bedroom, or it should be fun. And if that's the timeout spot as well, I get to go in there and play with my toys, and that's not so bad. It should be some sort of spot that's boring, let's say. I mean, it has to be boring because we want your child to not want to go there. So a timeout chair, a timeout step, a timeout spot. In our house, it was the laundry room that was a timeout room. We always joke that our children will have issues around laundry when they're adults because they spend a lot of time in the laundry room for a timeout. But somewhere that's relatively boring and safe, okay? So we want them to be safe while they're in a timeout, absolutely. And then that is the spot that they go to. Tip number two is that you first give one warning around the behavior. One warning and one warning only. This is one of the things I see parents make so many mistakes around is random warnings. You know, sometimes it's no warning, sometimes it's 50 warnings, and that really is so difficult for a child because there's no predictability around it. So it should always be one warning. And the good news is if it's always one warning, your warnings become effective, right? And you don't feel like a broken record, and you're not going to get angry because you've given 50 warnings, and your child will start responding to the warning when they know it's only ever one. So for example, if a child is asking for something in a whining voice, I would say, that is warning number one. Please ask politely or model back what you want them to say in an appropriate tone of voice. Can I have some juice, please? And see if they respond. If they don't and they ask for it in the same whining way, then it's off to timeout. Okay? Now it should be timed appropriately as well. And a good rule of thumb around timing is basically 1 minute for every age your child is. So if your child is 4, for example, then a timeout is 4 minutes. Tip number 3 around timeouts is that there should be a timer. This is a timeout. So it makes sense to me that there would be a timer involved. And that is a great way to separate the fact that it's not just you saying you have to sit here for X amount of minutes. It's now the timer's responsibility to keep track of how long you have to sit in that chair. And when the bell goes, you're done. Now, a child might not stay on the step or the chair or wherever the spot is initially, right? If this is a brand new thing that you're doing, I'm going to get up off of this chair. You're going to return them to the spot and start the timer again and explain every time you get up, I have to start this timer again. So the more you get up, the longer this is going to take, and soon enough, a child will understand that I better just do my time and sit here until that buzzer goes, because that's the fastest way out of this situation. Now, it's really okay if your child's upset when they're having a timeout. You know, it's not just so they can sit there calmly and contemplate what they've done wrong, right? I don't know a child who does that. So it's okay that they're upset while they're experiencing this timeout, because that's the consequence, right? Consequences shouldn't. In this particular situation, a consequence is a negative feeling, all right? We don't want them to love it on the naughty step, because then it's not an effective consequence. Okay, so if they're upset, they're upset. Let them be upset. That's their business and it's their right. They can do whatever they want while they're sitting there. Once the timer goes, let it be done, okay? You don't need to sit down and have a 10-minute conversation about what they did and why it was wrong. That's overkill. I also am not a huge fan of forced apologies around a timeout either, because then I worry that, saying I'm sorry becomes meaningless to your child, and it's just a way to kind of get this thing over with, say I'm sorry and move on. There's no processing going on there. And when somebody says they're sorry, they should really legitimately be sorry for what they've done. So don't force an apology. Really, I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Once the timer's gone, you carry on with your day, move past it, and continue. If it's a reoccurring behavior, you're doing the teaching on the front end. You're giving the warning, you're modeling the appropriate way, and if they choose not to respond, then that's, again, up to them. Okay? So I hope that gives you a clear path for using timeouts effectively. Thanks so much. Sleep well.